What's up everyone out there in YouTube land? It's me, Perry Lovewhistle, and I'm back on Acadian in Project Quarm, and it has been a while since I've managed to get a video out, because I've been using all of my time to grind levels, which unfortunately has left me still behind how fast I want to be leveling up. As you can see, I am level 44, which means I have my second to last round of spells, which gives me all of my translocate spells, which is really useful for making money if I'm not spending all of my time soloing for XP. On the plus side, soloing as a wizard is much easier than soloing as a ranger, and now that I'm level 44, I can keep fighting specters if I want. But the next step up in terms of plat farming is fighting giants, so I've come back to the Wraith Mountains to discuss all of the different types of giants and the best places, in my opinion, to hunt them. Of course, if I miss any good giant camps, let me know. So I'm going to be discussing Cyclops, hill giants, sand giants, and ice giants. I'm going to leave fire giants out because they're at the back of a scary dungeon and aren't really good for soloing, unless you're an enchanter. First up is Cyclops. Cyclopses spawn in East, West, and South Karanas, but also in the Wraith Mountains. The thing about the Karana spawns is the zones are huge and the Cyclops wander all over. So unless you're a ranger, it's kind of tricky to hunt Cyclops in the Karanas. But here in the Wraith Mountains, if you come to this hill just inside of the Lake Wraith zone line, there are Cyclops that have giant skeletons as placeholders, so they're easier to farm here. Even though he's light blue, I'm still going to take him out just for the sake of the video. Now, Cyclopses are much lower level than the other types of giants, so they're farmable from the 30s. But since they are technically giants, I figured I would include them in this video. I love that level 44 direct damage. And he only had 3 platinum on him. And the Cyclops can drop up to 6 plat apiece. So, like I said, good for the 30s, but once you're in the mid-40s, it's time to step up to the bigger giants, which, just on the other side of Wraith Mountains, you have Giant Hill, which has a lot of spawn points for hill giants. Who also have lots of placeholders. And this is actually something that I think is important to bring up, the difference between Quarm and Project 1999. On Project 1999, there's, I think, 6 different spawns and they're all claimed. But on Project Quarm, it's kind of just a free-for-all. There's sort of an unspoken rule that you use your extra mana or time or whatever to take out as many placeholders as possible so that everybody can get more giants. But it's just sort of, there's never too many people here. I've always found some giants when I've come to farm giants. You can also get some Cyclops over here on Giant Hill. But there's always a couple of magicians or bards or necromancers fighting giants over here. And there's always a couple more popping up. This is probably the best giant camp on Project Quarm just because of how easy it is to get a bunch of them to spawn. Now I'm going to see if I can get one to spawn to show how much money they drop without, you know, looting one that somebody else took out. There's also a couple of guards that spawn here in this tower, but they get got by the hill giants pretty quick. Oh, here's one. Ah. So obviously significantly more experience. And 39 platinum, plus some fine steel. So farming hill giants is always a good decision. Did take about 2/3 of my mana, but for 39 platinum, that's, if I can't get a Spectre camp, this is obviously a really great place for me to go. It is a little bit nervous just because the spawns aren't static. They roam around and it's easy to get ads. But like I said, there's always been a couple people here. It's always been pretty safe, consistent XP and plat. Now I'm going to med up and get ready to head up to Permafrost to talk about the ice giants. And up in Everfrost Peaks, if you've ever been to Permafrost Caverns, you know that it is guarded by 3 ice giants. These ice giants are all on a 6-minute and 20-second spawn, and they are almost always camped. This is probably the most sought-after giant camp in Classic Everquest. Because they are static spawns, they are very predictable, they drop more money than the other 2 types of giants. They are a little stronger. They have nearly 5,000 hit points, whereas the hill giant that I killed earlier had about 2,400. Let's see, I think we might be seeing one about to spawn. They are all claimed right now, so I won't be killing one. But they drop fine steel, up to 60 plat a piece, and ice giant toes. Now, there are also ice giants inside of Permafrost Caverns. Some are actually even weaker than the ones outside, but some of them are much, much stronger. And I kind of file those in the same place as the fire giants, in that they are too much of a pain in the butt for a wizard. An enchanter could solo them, but what can an enchanter not solo? Well, basically, if you want one of these, you've got to sit here and wait in line to get one of these spawns. And I think currently we've got one person in line for the South Watchtower, and one person just in line, 2 people in line for both of them. Oh, pop. So here's what they look like. It's kind of interesting that they have a distinctly different face and skin tone model than the other giants. Look like they are actually made of ice. Which is interesting because supposedly Permafrost was like the giant city before the curse of Zek's minions, which is why there is a statue out here that looks like a hill giant. See, I always thought it was odd that there was a hill giant statue in the ice giant zone. But with all of the ice giant spawns called, it's time for me to head to the Desert of Ro to discuss the last and, in my opinion, most elusive type of giant. And that would be the sand giant. Now, technically, sand giants can be found in North Ro, South Ro, or the Oasis of Mar. North Ro has 2 spawn points, South Ro has 8, and Oasis has like 50. And they all have placeholders, which means if you're looking for sand giants, you want to head to Oasis. Now, we'll see if I manage to find one just randomly running through, because they can spawn just about anywhere, and depending on how active Oasis has been today, there should be some already running around. I do see a couple of level 50s and a level 49 in here, so it's possible that these sand giants are already being camped. But I'll see if I can still find one on my own. Oh, Lockjaw. Looks like we get a special treat. Lockjaw just spawned. He is the named alligator. He drops some really cool stuff for druids. I'm gonna go see if I can help kill it for the locals. There he is. Oh! He got me. It's alright. It's alright. He's slow. I'm fast. Sit down. Look at this. Lockjaw Hide Vest. 12 AC, 5 stamina. Weight 1.5. Decent for a monk, maybe a bard. Okay. Now I'm going to get back to my hunt for giants. Of course, getting Lockjaw and getting the vest was a pleasant surprise. Despite only taking 2 nukes, Lockjaw pretty much sapped my mana, so I'm going to med up a little bit, then continue the hunt for sand giants. Alright, now back to the hunt. I shouldn't, in theory, have to do anything. There should just be at least one sand giant. Most of the spawns, they're only like 2% of the chance to spawn, but with how many there are, there's got to be at least one somewhere. Also, while I'm here, sell that fine steel scimitar. Pretend I know how to operate a door. On Project 1999, the sand giants, I think, at least there was a period of time where their only placeholder was the dune tarantulas, and just around this area. So if you are trying to get a whole bunch of giants, which was worthwhile if you were a bard, you would run around and grab all the tarantulas, kite them down, and then get a whole bunch of giants and kite them down. It was a great way of collecting both silk and plat from giant kills. After my last video, I got a couple people recommend that I do the Oasis Spectres, or I did respond to those comments, but the Oasis Spectres are almost always taken because there's 4 of them. They're single pullable, and most people are in the Fiat, in the Spectre Cave like me. And of course there is a downside to hunting for sand giants in the Oasis, that there is a rare named sand giant that might spawn, named Kazel, and he is significantly stronger. He's part of the Enchanter Epic quest. I don't know that Acadian could solo him. Probably with full mana and my harvest ready, if anything. Wow, are there really no sand giants up? Of course. You know, when I'm just passing through Oasis, especially on a character that can get one-shotted by a sand giant, there's always one up here in these northern dunes hanging out, waiting to eat my lunch. But when I'm actually looking for a sand giant, they're nowhere. Well, let's pop into South Row. There's definitely a lot fewer sand giant spawns there, but I think they have a higher chance of spawning a sand giant, so we'll see. Okay, so in the southern desert of Row, like I said, there are 8 spawns that can spawn sand giants, but the sand giants are 10% chance to spawn on each of them. So in theory there should be at least 1 up, but that also means that swarming stuff in South Row to get a sand giant to spawn should be a lot easier than an Oasis. This is also where you would hunt for the or a place to hunt for the ancient Cyclops, who also has a 10% chance on each of these sand giant spawns. Even though the journeyman boots will always drop on Project Quarm, the Ancient's Ring is actually a really decent intelligence item, so the ancient Cyclops still gets farmed. Okay, got one to spawn. Oh, it's Sand Giant Husam. There's actually a named sand giant. That's alright. He is actually weaker than the normal sand giants, but he has quest items that he drops. Yeah, I should be able to take him out with just a couple of bubbles. Oh, someone else is killing him. That's alright. But this is what these sand giants look like. And like I said, you hunt the desert madmen and mummies in South Row to get them to spawn. And aside from that, their stats and drops are almost identical to the hill giants. So I'll let him go and enjoy his kill, and I'll get back to grinding XP. I really want to get to level 46 so that my next video can be about raiding on Project Quarm. So if there were any giant spawns or giant camps that you think I missed, leave them in the comments below. But until next time, bye.